All right, let's do it. Hello, my name is Paige Greco, and for the worship service project, I decided I wanted to attend a Jewish service. I went into this project knowing very little about Judaism, but I instantly knew that I wanted to do this faith because I have family that practice it. I got in touch with my aunt, who grew up attending service at the synagogue. She got me in touch with her father, who we just call Uncle Barry, who was nice enough to have a phone conversation with me just to let me know some basics before attending my first Jewish service on Friday night.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Paige. How are you, sweetie?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, just living with whatever comes my way.
Oh, that sounds great.
I decided to attend both the Friday night service as well as the Saturday morning service at the synagogue Temple Beth David. I had zero idea the difference between the Friday night and Saturday morning service and what they would entail. All that was left now was attending the services. Okay, so I just got back home. Sorry, I'm literally sitting in my garage since after the Friday service, and everyone was so nice. The temple was absolutely beautiful and everybody was really up to having conversations with me. And it was just a short little nice service, a lot of singing and everything. And I'm really excited to talk more about this during the self-interview. Good morning. It is about 8:12, so I have a couple hours before the service at 11 at the synagogue, Saturday morning service. So I wanted to do the self-interview about the events of last night. So the first question is, after day one, what did you expect to see or experience prior to attending the worship service? So I had a phone conversation with my Uncle Barry, my aunt's father, and he said that during the Friday service, there's not going to be as many people there than you'll see on Saturday, as well as it's going to be smaller, and since you're going to a Reform synagogue, it's going to be more English than Hebrew. And so that's sort of what I was expecting going into the service. I was also expecting to see some sort of sermon, some sort of speaking just about Judaism. The next question is, did your experience match your expectations? I would say yes and no. Yes, there was not that many people there. It was very small and very intimate, which I really appreciated because everybody was super kind towards me and willing to answer any questions that I had. And there was a lot of singing, but what sort of was a little, what I wasn't expecting was how much Hebrew there actually was. The whole majority of the service was this singing, which is really cool. The rabbi actually had a 12-string guitar and was playing the whole time. He was like leading the worship, which was like really, really cool. Sometimes we would stand up, he'd be stand up, sing, sit down. I was right as well as the sermon. So after the singing, which was the majority, it was like maybe a little 5-6 minute rant about the importance of the Sabbath, the importance of rest, that rest day. And that was really interesting hearing him, talk about how significant that Sabbath is, and how we need that time that God slated for us to rest. So that was really, really, really cool. So next question is, what stood out to you from the worship service? What stood out to me was probably how small and intimate it was. Seeing that everybody was sort of close together and the rabbi would come down to the floor instead of on the stand, so he was close to us, which was really, really nice, and you could see how much everybody cared. Okay, last question. What was your main takeaway from this experience? My main takeaway was after the service, I had a really good conversation with one of the members of the congregation. His name's Brian. And we talked about how it's important for him, like why is it important for you to come to service and everything. And that was everybody. Everybody was there. So after the service, everybody would come out and there was snacks and everybody would kind of drink and socialize with the rabbi and everybody, and you would have like this 10-15 minute just conversation before you left, before you said your goodbyes. It was okay, now let's talk and socialize. It doesn't even have to be about Judaism, it can be about anything. Yeah, those are probably my main takeaways from day one. So I'm excited to go this afternoon and see what's in store for me for this Saturday morning service. So here we go.
Okay, good afternoon. Now, I just got back from the Saturday morning service, and it was a lot longer. I actually had to leave a little bit early just because like I turned and asked somebody. I was like, how long does this go on? Because I had to get home by 1. And they were like, you never know. Like, the rabbi could talk forever, and you just sit there and have conversations. And it was just a lot more people today, and yeah, lots of takeaways. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Okay, good afternoon. After day 2, what did you expect to see or experience prior to attending the worship service? So after my conversation with Uncle Barry, I expected this to be a service that there was going to be more people, that more people would attend. It'd be a longer service. So I was expecting more talking and less of the worship. I was expecting more conversation, probably, and more Hebrew, and I was expecting the Torah to come out of the Ark, and just sort of it be more, instead of more of a celebration, more of an educational service, if that makes sense. So, and did these expectations match my experience? Yeah, pretty much. The only thing that I will say is when I said long, I wasn't expecting that long. I actually had to leave early because it could have went on forever, as I was told by one of these people. They say, you never know, you have a slated time you get here and you can leave whenever you'd like, but the rabbi is gonna talk, and he's gonna talk for a while, which he did. And so we had a little bit of singing at the beginning. He had a guitar again, and we did a little bit of singing, and after that, 3 members of the congregation would come up with the Torah. So after they took the Torah out of the Ark, 3 members of the congregation would read a bit of the Torah, then matched with the rabbi, would start speaking as well, and then they would come down, and then they would read, the rabbi would read a portion of the Torah, and he would just leave it up there on his podium, and he came down. I knew he was reading the commandments. He was reading Thou shalt not steal, specifically, was the main one that we talked about that day. And boy, when I said conversation, I didn't think that it was that much conversation. It was a lot of conversation. But what was really interesting about it, which I guess I'll get into later, was what this conversation was about. So let's get to this next question. What stood out to you from the worship service? So after the rabbi read the portion of the Torah about the commandments, he came down, and it was more people there in the pews, and he made real world examples. He was like, okay, this was written how many years ago? A lot of years ago, right? How can we relate this now? How is this relevant today in today's world? Because this is the book that we look to for our lives. This is the Torah. This is where we guide our actions. This was written so long ago. How is it relevant now? It was really interesting to see the conversational aspect, and it wasn't just the rabbi talking. People were raising their hands. People were saying, okay, this is interesting, I want to chip in. And I even got into it too. I was just like, yeah, no, absolutely. And I was kind of participating as well, which was super interesting to be able to feel like I was almost part of the conversation, even though I didn't know that much about, the actual aspects of the text. So that's what stood out to me the most, for sure. And last question, what was your main takeaway? My main takeaway from this whole experience, not just I guess the Saturday service, but more as the Saturday service, is and I'm probably sure this is true for other religions as well, just how much people were asking me, and like people were being like, you're a student, right? I was like, oh my goodness, ask me. If you have any questions, just ask me, I got you. And a lot of the times I would like turn around to the lady sitting behind me, and I was just like, okay, is this what's happening? Like, and I would have a notebook, and I was like writing things down, and it was just super amazing experience, for sure. People were really willing to answer those questions for me. So throughout this whole experience, it's been fantastic. So it's been a couple days since the 2 services. Well, I did have a lot of good conversations with members of the congregation. I still wanted to speak with my mentor, Uncle Barry, and get some more personal details by doing an in-depth interview. I decided not to record in the synagogue out of respect, but feel like this conversation with an outside family member could be very insightful. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so 6 questions. Some of them are probably going to overlap a little bit, so like if you like touch on one, then that's okay.
No problem.
First question is, what did going to service look like for you growing up?
It was, confirming my participation in my religion.
Did you go to like a specific service? Because obviously they have the Friday nights and then the Saturday morning. So did you go to both, or like how were you involved?
Mainly the Saturday morning things, because that's when bar mitzvahs, and that's when we got the sermon from the rabbi.
I gotcha.
Friday night in my synagogue was not as colorful as the one you went to.
Yes, I gotcha.
There were no guitars back then.
Were there
they were more serious.
I see. Did you go to like you
I did
told me
not
about
go
the
to,
Reform or?
That's what I was about to tell you. The synagogue I went to was technically called conservative.
Gotcha.
So of the 3 levels, Reform being the most modern, conservative kind of in the middle, and Orthodox being
very strict.
Really strict and religious.
Yeah.
I was in the middle.
It was really interesting when I went to the service. There was this one guy, and he was telling, and I asked him, and I was like, because he was telling me he like grew up in Maine, and he used to go to an Orthodox, and he said it was very interesting because like he went to go shake a lady's hand, and they weren't even allowed to do that within the.
No, in the Orthodox, they actually separate the women from the men in the synagogue.
Yeah. Wow.
Separate seating area.
Wow. Interesting.
But that's the Orthodox. We didn't do that.
Okay, well, thank you. The next question is, this one's kind of fun, I guess. What Jewish holiday means the most to you, and why?
Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah are the 2. If you had to pick most important, would be those 2. That's the celebration of the New Year and the official reckoning for the previous year. There's a line in the service that says, at this point in time, this is the time of year when you're written in the book of life for the next year.
Gotcha.
So it's important.
Yes.
If you're not written in there, then that's it. You're over.
Gotcha.
What
was the other one you said?
They don't physically write it. They don't physically write your name or anything.
Yeah.
It's prayer.
I see. So you said Yom Kippur, and what was the other one?
Rosh, R-O-S-H, Hashanah, Rosh Hashanah.
And what is that?
This is technically, well, they're both the celebration of the new year. This is when you end the reading of the Torah. The entire Torah is only portions are read each week.
Okay.
And this is the point in time when you finish it and you start over.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
that's a very, very important days in the Jewish religion.
Okay.
The most fun one, of course, is Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you have a Jewish education, Hebrew school, bar, bat mitzvah, Jewish summer camps, synagogue youth group, etc.? What are your memories of that education, if you did?
I mean, I went to regular grammar school like you did.
Yeah.
Back then, there was no middle school. There was grammar school, which was kindergarten through 7.
Gotcha.
And then there was high school. That we only had 2 schools.
Yeah, gotcha.
we didn't have the middle thing. Anyway, while I was in the grammar school, yes, after regular school, I would catch a bus and go to the synagogue and go to Hebrew school, where they taught Jewish history and Jewish stuff, so to speak.
Yeah.
They taught you about the different holidays. And yes, I studied to be a bar mitzvah. That was a separate study, but still at the synagogue.
Okay, I gotcha.
so that I could read that particular portion of the Torah on my 13th birthday, which is the year of the bar mitzvah. Gotcha. Officially, that's when the children become an adult, even though you're not an adult. That's traditionally when you join the conversation.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, very nice. Thank you. Share something about your religious upbringing or your first encounter with Judaism.
We were Jewish. We did whatever you're supposed to do. There are many laws and traditions you're supposed to follow. To tell you we followed every one of them, that wouldn't be true. But we were more in the conservative vein. We did what we had to do. We went to synagogue on the holidays. Not always every Sabbath, but that was just my family.
Okay, I got you. And were you here in Georgia, or were you somewhere else?
No, I grew up in Atlanta.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Okay.
I was born here and lived here all the way through school.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay, next question. This is a little deeper, I guess, but have you ever personally experienced or observed anti-Semitism? How did it feel, and what way did it impact you?
Yeah, that's been going on for thousands of years, not just recently.
Yeah, obviously.
The Jews have been persecuted since their existence began. I mean, if it wasn't the pharaohs in Egypt, it was the Romans, and then everybody else was trying to kill them. Yes. So, me personally, you see it. It's somewhat hidden, but they don't want to. I've never experienced it where somebody came at me.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But yes, I see it.
Again, those are my questions. If there's anything like a memory or something that you think could be of note, you can share. But besides that, that's pretty much all I have.
Well, both of my children were married. Your Aunt Amy was married by, I think, your uncle or something. But she was still married under a canopy, which is a Jewish tradition.
Okay. Could you describe that tradition? Because I'm not familiar with the canopy.
It's a canopy. There's 4 poles, and there's a silk or a cloth covering, like a roof. It's called a chuppah. That's the name of it in Hebrew.
Gotcha.
And you're married under the chuppah. And one of the Jewish traditions is, after you're married, you break the husband breaks a glass. They wrap a wine glass, in a napkin or something, and then he steps on it with his foot. And this tradition in Jewish life is that this is like whatever God has put together and ordained this particular marriage. Let no one break it or make it go asunder. So the breaking of the glass is you cannot put the glass back together.
Oh, okay.
It's symbolic of you once you've said your vows, you can't undo it.
Okay, I got
you. That make sense to you?
No, it does. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Awesome.
It's a tradition, not a law, but a tradition.
Thank you very much. It's been very helpful.
Okay, so we're just finishing up now. Here we go. After this experience, I am very thankful and appreciative to my mentor, the synagogue, and the members of the congregation. I not only wanted to become well educated about Judaism, as well as the misconceptions of the faith, but also understand the personal significance of Judaism to people. I feel like after these last couple weeks, I have accomplished that, and I am, I think, yes, recording this on a Friday night. So I guess it's an appropriate time to say it. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Here we go. Yay.